Hello, I'm Newman from ThoughtPop.com. Recently, this community has been absolutely obsessed with lubing everything.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah?
Now don't get me wrong, I love me some lube. What happened to a good old-fashioned dry hump? Today, I'll be performing the Dry Hump Stabilizer mod. That's the dry hack using mostly PTFE. This involves using PTFE fiberglass tape to reduce friction between your stabilizer's contact points, and absolutely zero lube is required. This means no sticky mess, no need to ever reapply, no excessive butt plugging, and instead, we're using this tape that costs you a cup of coffee. Here's what we're using in this guide. You need a pair of scissors, some thin tweezers, your favorite stabilizers. We're using Durock V2 stabs here, but this mod also works for plate mounted. PTFE plumber's tape. This is your common white Teflon tape you could find anywhere. Ours is pre-trimmed to be a 1/4 inch wide. PTFE fiberglass tape. This is fiberglass tape that has been coated with PTFE. So what is PTFE? PTFE stands for polytetrafluoroethylene, a synthetic polymer that is hydrophobic, heat resistant, and most importantly, it's smooth as No, really. It features one of the lowest coefficients of friction of any solid, and that's important because the unwanted sound and feel from our stabilizers come from the friction between its stem, housing, and bar. PTFE tape normally is completely non-adhesive, but we added some light silicone adhesive to the back of our tape, so you don't have to buy double-sided tape, like what's needed in the EPSI mod. Let's start the mod. First, we'll dry hump our stems. Take your PTFE fiberglass tape and cut about 1 inch of it. Feel free to overcut, since you can trim off any excess. Then, vertically trim this so we have about a 2 mm thin strip. This can be done with scissors or a precision knife, as seen here. You can save this wider strip for band-aid modding later if you'd like. Cut the thin strip in half. If you're familiar with the Holy mod, this part will seem very familiar. Apply a strip to the top part of the stem opening where your bar would normally fit. It's important to press all the edges here with tweezers to secure the tape, but also to prevent loose tape from making unwanted noises. Then wrap this back over the top here so the tape is stuck more securely. Next, we'll apply a strip to the bottom part of the stem opening. This part will be similar to the EPSI mod. In the Holy mod, this bottom part isn't taped over since that mod uses bandages, which are quite thick. This PTFE tape, in contrast, is really thin and allows us to cover as many contact surfaces as possible. We want to make sure to wrap around to the bottom of the stem so that this back portion is covered as well. Great, we've dry humped our stems. Next, we'll dry hump the housing. Now, if you really dislike the aesthetics of a dry humped housing, feel free to skip this and lube the insides of the housing as you normally would. Take your PTFE fiberglass tape and cut about 1 inch of it. Apply this to the inside wall of the housing. We want the tape to cover as much of this side as possible. Press the edges in with tweezers. Now wrap the tape back around just like we did for the stems. This secures the tape in place. Trim off any excess and press again to make sure all edges and corners are covered. Do the same for the other wall now. Voila, we've dry humped our housing. Finally, we need to dry hump the bar. Normally, some lube is applied to this section of the bar, where it gets clipped into the housing. Instead, we'll be using our PTFE plumber's tape to wrap the bar. Cut about 1 inch of it. Cutting slightly more or less won't make a huge difference, since this tape is extremely thin. Now begin wrapping this section of the bar. The less wrinkles in your wrap, the better. Nice, now let's put it all together. If you're not sure how to put the stem in the housing, there's a front and back side to your stabilizers. The front side of the stem features 2 holes, whereas the back side of the stem has only 1 big hole. You want the side with 1 hole in the stem to be on the same side as the side on the housing that has the screw. Now we're ready to put the bar in the housing and stem. Remember the part of the stem that has 2 holes? We're trying to stick the bar into the bottom of the 2 holes. Due to the low friction properties of the PTFE tape, the bar should easily fit right in. Then you just turn the bar and clip it into the housing. Do the same for the other side. Now we're ready to install the stabilizer to the PCB. I know this community is split on whether or not band-aiding your stabs really does anything, but if you're going to do it anyway, you might as well use PTFE tape since it has hydrophobic properties. Be sure not to over-tighten when screwing your stabilizers in. If you don't have a lot of experience with screwing or bolting a lot of things in, a good rule of thumb is it doesn't need as much torque if it's a smaller screw. We want to break the stabilizers in, so press the key multiple times. Note that some of these tests won't be completely accurate since we're not installing the plate. Let's take a listen. Congratulations, you've successfully dry humped your stabilizers. Now join our Discord, where we have a dedicated channel to discussing how this mod worked for you. You can find all the parts to this mod in the description below. See ya!